Hi, I'm Dr. Catherine Kate Morrison, and this is the story of how my stepbrother's greed taught him an expensive lesson about not underestimating a country veterinarian, and how sometimes the man in the muddy boots knows more than the man in the designer suit. Morrison Ranch isn't just any old cattle ranch, it's the home of one of the most prestigious breeding programs in Texas, with millions of dollars worth of pedigree. Everything changed 6 years ago when Dad married Sandra Brooks. She came along with her son, Travis, who has an MBA from Harvard and had big plans from day one to modernize our traditional way of doing business. What Travis didn't understand was that our reputation wasn't built on profits, it was built on producing the finest cows in the country. Every rancher knows that Morrison blood means excellence. But Travis only saw the numbers on a spreadsheet, and he began to push his father to embrace factory farming methods and treat our operation as a commodity producer rather than a boutique breeding program. Impressed by Travis's business degree and swagger, my father began to listen to me. What they didn't know was that when I graduated from veterinary school 5 years ago, my grandfather started an independent company in my name, Morrison Genetics LLC, where every valuable pedigree, every breeding contract, and every winning animal is registered. The farm has a license to use and profit from these genetics as long as our traditional breeding standards are maintained. Grandpa had seen too many family farms destroyed by modernization, and before he died he said, "Protect the pedigrees, Katie, they are your family's true legacy." Early the next morning, he convinced his father to call a family meeting. Travis stood in our family meeting room and made the announcement, dressed in an Italian suit that looked out of place among the worn leather furniture. He laid out his vision: sell our overvalued prize bulls and replace them with a focus on quantity over quality, turn our carefully managed ranches into high-density feedlots, and Dad had agreed to hand over the controlling interest to me. Travis continued to grin in my direction and said that we needed decisive leadership, not someone who spent his days playing vet with the animals. I watched as Dad signed the paperwork, and Travis's mom smiling beside him and chucking up sand. Kate, Travis said condescendingly, "We still need a veterinarian, if only you'd learn to work more efficiently and stop with the personal care." I stood up silently. I had to go check on Thundering, he was going to breed tomorrow. I drove the truck over to Thunderbolt's ranch where he and his hand-picked herd were grazing. Pulling out my cell phone, I made a call that I hope I never have to make. He's got a buyer coming to see Thunder Spirit, intent on selling our champion bulls for a quick buck, and his new Land Rover is dusty on the drive to the main barn. My door is red. Where are the cows? Where's Thunder Spirit? And I'm looking up from my medical records. Oh, they're safe. Morrison Genetics LLC moved into our new facility last night. Morrison, what are you talking about? The farm can only use them if certain conditions are met. Travis grabbed the paperwork. His hands were shaking. That's impossible. The farm owns the herd. The farm owns some basic livestock. I corrected him. But Thunder Spirit, his entire breeding line, the embryos in our lab, $1 million breeding contracts, they all belong to Morrison Genetics. Checking the registration paperwork, he pulls out his cell phone and yells, "We've got a problem." 20 minutes later, Dad arrived with Sandra and I. I had all the paperwork laid out: breeding registry, genetic patents, contract agreements. Grandpa and I had quietly laid everything out to protect our legacy. But Travers interrupted her, his business mind finally figuring out the situation. He demanded how much to buy the genetics company. I laughed. "It's not for sale, but I have a counteroffer." I laid out my terms. "I'll lease the genetics and the breeding rights back to the farm, but only under certain conditions. I'll have full control of the breeding program if we refuse." Travers demanded between gritted teeth, I'll take my company, my cattle, and my contracts elsewhere, and you'll line up buyers who aren't paying a premium for the farm, they're paying for our pedigree." Old Katie, why didn't you tell me about this? Would you have listened to me, Dad? You're so impressed by Travis's modern business ideas, you're forgetting what made our farm special in the first place. The next couple of weeks were tense, and under my watch, Travis focused on the basic operations of the farm. And last month at the National Cattle Show, we won 5 championships. Travis stood awkwardly at a celebratory dinner where buyers praised our commitment to traditional breeding excellence. "You've been planning this all along, haven't you? These aren't just assets on a spreadsheet, Travis, they're living creatures, they're our responsibility. And yesterday Dad came into my clinic and looked at the veterinary degrees and breeding awards on my wall with new eyes. Your grandfather would have been so proud of you, he said softly, and he always said that you're the one who really understands what we're building here. I showed her Spirit of Thunder's newest calf, which is already showing his father's championship potential because this land is more than just dirt and grass. I told her it's been the hard work and dedication of generations of dreamers. Sometimes the conservancy means that Morrison Farms is still a family business. It's just a little bit clearer who's really in charge, and if you take a closer look at the new sign out front, you'll see some interesting things. Morrison Farms has a proud partnership with Morrison Genetics LC. Sometimes the best revenge isn't winning, it's protecting what's important, even if you have to be smarter than the Harvard MBA to do it.